After watching this video, you will know how we can better reduce anger and resentment with the help of Buddhist psychology and how we can learn to let go of these emotions more easily. There is a touching story about two Buddhist monks who meet many years after they release from prison where they were tortured. The first asks, "Have you forgiven our captors?" The other replies, "I will never forgive them. Never." The first says, "Well, I guess they still have you in prison, don't they?" This story vividly outlines the tyranny of anger. The Buddha said, "Holding onto anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." Anger, rage, fury, whatever we call it, we are all affected by it. What does Buddhism teach about anger? Anger is considered one of the mind poisons in Buddhism. Furthermore, there is no such thing as righteous or justified anger in Buddhism. However, despite the recognition that anger is a hindrance, even highly realized masters admit that they sometimes get angry. This means that for most of us, not getting angry is not a realistic option. We will get angry again in the future. The question is rather, what do we do with our anger then? The next 6 steps will help us a bit here. First, admit that you are angry. This may sound silly, but how many times have we met someone who was obviously angry but insisted they weren't? For some reason, some people refuse to admit to themselves that they are angry. This is not very skillful. We can't deal with something we don't admit is there. Buddhism teaches mindfulness, and mindfulness of ourselves is also part of it. When an unpleasant emotion or thought arises, we don't suppress it, run away from it, or deny it. Instead, we observe it and fully acknowledge it. Being deeply honest with yourself is essential in Buddhism. What makes you angry? It is important to understand that anger is very often or almost always entirely generated by yourself. We tend to think that anger is caused by something outside of ourselves, such as other people or frustrating events. Buddhism teaches us that anger, like all states of mind, is generated by the mind. No one makes us angry. We make ourselves angry. However, when we are dealing with our own anger, we should look more closely. Anger challenges us to look deep within ourselves. Anger is mostly self-defense. It arises from unresolved fears or when our ego comes out. Anger is virtually always an attempt to defend oneself. For Buddhists, ego, fear, and anger are insubstantial and impermanent. They are merely mental states. Anger is self-harming. Anger is unpleasant but seductive. Especially when our ego is involved, we can justify and even feed our anger. Buddhism, however, teaches that anger is never justified. Buddhist practice is to cultivate loving kindness or metta toward all beings, which is free of egoic attachments. All beings include the guy who just cut us off on the street, the colleague who passes off our ideas as his, or even someone close to us who lies to us. For this reason, when we get angry, we have to be very careful not to lose ourselves in our anger in order to hurt others. We must also be careful not to hold onto our anger and give it a place to live and grow. Anger can cause stress, anxiety, loss of sleep, and appetite. A very angry person may wish that his enemies sleep badly, suffer losses, and that people turn against him. However, all these things actually happen to the angry person. The angry person sleeps badly, her work suffers, She cannot enjoy what she has. People avoid her. Ultimately, anger is unpleasant and harmful to ourselves, and our best solution is to let it go. Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. How to let go of anger. We have acknowledged our anger and analyzed ourselves to understand what caused the anger and know that anger is self-harming. Yet, we are still angry. What can we do about it? Buddhism often teaches us to do just the opposite of what we would normally do. When we are angry at someone, our urge is to get revenge. The result, we are just as, if not more, unhappy than before. It seems counterintuitive, but the opposite leads to the opposite result. The Buddhist nun Pema Chodron advises patience. Patience means waiting to act or speak until we can do so without causing harm to others and ourselves. Patience has tremendous honesty, she says. It also has the quality of not letting things escalate and giving the other person a lot of space to speak, to express themselves, while you are not reacting, even though you are reacting inside. If you practice meditation, this is the time to put it into action. Sit still with the heat and tension of anger. Quiet the internal chatter of external and self-blame. Acknowledge the anger and go all the way in. Embrace your anger with patience and compassion for all beings, including yourself. Like all mental states, anger is temporary and eventually disappears on its own. Paradoxically, failure to acknowledge anger often fuels its continued existence. Self-observation is a very helpful way to deal with anger. Before we react, it is good to pause for a moment and observe what is happening in our bodies. Which muscles are tense? How does our stomach feel? How is our breathing? Instead of thinking about the other person or the situation that is creating discomfort, we should focus our attention on ourselves. This observation exercise can help us calm down and then let go more easily. Don't feed your anger. It's hard not to act, to stay still and silent while our emotions are screaming at us. Anger fills us with nervous energy and makes us want to do something. Thich Nhat Hanh advises this: when you express your anger, you think you are getting the anger out of you, but you are not, he says. When you express your anger verbally or with physical violence, you nurture the seed of anger and it grows stronger inside you. Only understanding and compassion can neutralize anger. Compassion takes courage. Sometimes we confuse aggression with strength and non-action with weakness. Buddhism teaches that just the opposite is true. Courage is about not reacting and instead practicing patience, understanding, and compassion. Likewise, it is about not getting carried away and becoming a prisoner of our impulses. We need to take some time to respond intelligently to any situation. On the other hand, it is a weakness to give in to the impulses of anger, to allow anger to captivate us and spin us around. On the other hand, it takes strength to acknowledge the fear and selfishness in which our anger is usually rooted. It also takes discipline to meditate and remain calm in the flames of anger. The Buddha said, "Conquer anger with lack of anger, bad with good, stinginess with a gift, a liar with truth." Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, share the video with someone who can benefit from this content. Thank you and stay inspired.